But the Women Within Wellness initiative is 32 years old this year, which is incredible. And this whole Pearls of Wisdom speaker series came about because of my podcasting experience about 6 months last 2025. And it was Kara who got me into the podcasting world. And it was, these women that I talked to all over the world with their podcasts said, "Oh my goodness, this is amazing. And you started that a long time ago. How did you know?" So I said to Crystal, "How are we going to amplify this brand?" And she said, "Well, let's do a speaker series and we'll focus on their pearls of wisdom and they'll tell their story." So Kara's going to tell you about her, but really she created the initiative of us with this speaker series. And before we get into Crystal introducing Kara, I do want to thank our sponsors. We have Libby and Rosa, who are real estate agents with Royal LePage here in the county, but also in Toronto. We have Crystal, who's been nonstop helping with all the technology and marketing and promotion and idea generation, so absolutely invaluable. And we have Dr. Jennifer Perlman. She's not with us today, but again, she came on as a sponsor, and we wanted to have the Pearl Gala. Unfortunately, we had to postpone that, so we're hoping sometime within the year, if not this fall, then maybe next spring for International Women's Day, we will bring back the Pearl Gala and have fun and go to Frida's. So Libby and Rosa, do you want to say a few words about what's happening with real estate in the county and in Toronto?
Go ahead, Rosa.
Okay. All right. Actually, we just received a report from Urbanation in Toronto this morning about market stats, and good news in the sense that active listings are falling. The sales to listings ratio is improving. It's at about 37%. We have to be at about 42% to start a balanced market. So, it's getting there. They are still calling for a housing shortage within 2 to 3 years, which should bring it back to a seller's market. No promises if we all had a crystal ball, but that's where things are at. And, things here in the county tend to be more seasonal in nature, not completely, of course. We do have buyers and sellers all throughout the year, but things are getting definitely busier in the last month. Right, Libby?
We're hoping it's going to continue. Yeah, it's great to have Rosa's representation from the city because she's a commercial agent and she has a picture from her office, and it's nice to have the combination. We work well together. We have some amazing listings to sell that we're working hard on trying to get them sold. But it's exciting. And of course, we both love what we do. So that makes it all very special. And we enjoy life. So it's good. Over to you.
Even though we work a lot.
I know, exactly. Well, I met Kara through the Women's College Hospital Foundation, and Libby, you and I went to one of their International Women's Day events. And Kara now lives in Miami. So if you run into anybody in Miami who's interested in real estate in Ontario, these are the girls who can help you out. And the one thing that they get are all the premier commercial opportunities. And currently they've got a great big real estate package available. And it's only 20 million, but those are Canadian dollars. So that's a bargain for anybody you may know in the US. So I'll let Crystal introduce Kara. And before you do, Crystal, tell us what you do. And what you're also doing more of because you are so good at what you do.
Thank you. My business is Step by Step Business Solutions, and we do all the marketing and event management for, we've been covering many amazing ladies like Nancy and other businesses, coaches, speakers, women entrepreneurs who are just trying to grow themselves online. And now it has just grown to sports and music. And our team now covers events. We go to all the sport events, pump up the sporting teams, and grow them exponentially on social media. And so much so that now I'm the go-to marketer for ball hockey with in across Canada, and so much so that the Edmonton Oilers have partnered with us, and now we are starting to promote the community engagement with working with the Edmonton Oilers of how to grow the sport of hockey in different ways with their campaign of every kid deserves a shot. And so
Hey, that's
it's a lot of
perfect.
fun. Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I love working with the kids now, and music is a lot of fun too. So uh, just lots of room for growth and excitement.
Well, one of my specialties is connecting. And
Mhm.
so, Crystal, if you run into an Edmonton Oiler who wants to buy real estate in Ontario,
Yes, I'm on
anyway,
it.
I'll let you introduce
Yeah,
No,
Kara.
it's all about
And
connections, isn't it?
actually, am I a mute or no? Can't tell.
No,
Okay.
you're on.
So my daughter, Serena McLeod, is a sports psychologist.
Mm,
I think the two of you should connect. She works with, my goodness, all kinds of sports, but she works with the Canadian men's soccer team, 17 and under. She's actually going to Switzerland with them in August.
amazing.
She's been all over the world with them. She works with actually an assistant coach with the Raptors. She loves
Well,
soccer, and
Rosa, just do an email intro. Just do an email intro.
I will. I will.
okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
And Nancy, the 20 million, if you're talking about the place that we currently have for sale, it's only 10,850,000.
Okay.
Is it
It's a
about
it's a bargain.
7 or 8 million? It wasn't not even seven, I don't think. Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay.
So, Crystal, tell us about Kara.
Yes, I'm very excited to meet you, Kara, because Nancy's talked all about you. Just about every podcast we talk about Kara. So, Kara is our Chief Strategy Officer and board level advisor, working with founders, executives, and boards to build durable, well-governed companies. Her focus is on corporate strategy, governance, capital markets positioning, and growth architecture across private and public organizations. She specializes in bringing clarity to complex situations, aligning leadership teams around decisive strategies, and helping companies prepare for scale, capital, and transition. And all of that runs beautifully with her talk today about podcasts, which is all about building reach, credibility, and reputation. But it's all about scaling, which is what has happened here with Nancy and Woman Worth and Wellness. So, Kara, we're happy to have you. Please join
Oh,
us online.
thank you. And thank you, Nancy, for, creating this space. Thank you, Crystal, for the amazing. I sound really good on paper. I don't know. I mean, what I do is a lot of like just really hard work. When you read that out, I'm like, okay, all right, I guess here we go. And Elizabeth, nice to meet you, meet you. Funny enough, when I was a fundraiser at the Women's College Hospital, Elizabeth Crombie, your name came up quite a few times. Did you donate to the Women's College Hospital Foundation? I think you were on a
No,
list.
no, not yet. Not yet.
Ah, okay,
Yeah,
okay. But I
yeah,
remember there was a conversation that did happen. So
yeah.
you're on their radar. But
Good.
yeah, so I spent 7 years with the Women's College Hospital on the foundation. I actually co-hosted that one of the galas that you guys are speaking about, the Women for Women Gala. I helped host that. And I think it was through that work that somehow I became friends with Nancy. And we became quite close over COVID. We were talking all the time about just the state of the world and state of affairs. And that was where I started to realize how special the work that Nancy is doing is, how many years she has invested into it. And one of the things one of the sectors that I work in is, healthcare, obviously, mining, sort of sectors that are sort of complicated and don't really resonate well when you're trying to put them out onto social media. So you're just doing an Instagram post about, mining in South Africa, or doing an Instagram post about sort of healthcare. It often sort of falls a little flat. You're not telling the whole story. You're just getting little pieces and bits out there. So I I came up with a plan. I was like, how can we reach more people with a bigger audience who are actually interested? Like they've already committed to basically, sit down and be interested in the content And one of the solutions that I came up with about 3 or 4 years ago was podcasting. Um, the whole world of podcasting has probably been around longer than we all think, but I think it's really become really, put on people's radar in the past, I would say 5 years. Have you guys all listened to podcasts before?
We have,
Okay. Yeah, Elizabeth, your team?
they have, yep,
I can't see you
assume,
guys anymore, so I'm going to assume
yep.
you're there. Okay, so everyone has listened to a podcast, and you know what? Like, the truth is, it's kind of like a radio show, right? So this formula has been around for a very, very long time, and people really like it. So, anyways, here we are as here are the stats. So you guys know that I'm not, sort of making this stuff up, but there are over 500 million listeners to podcasts worldwide, and 73% of them are American. And I'm sure Canada is probably parked. I'm going to say with this stat, Canada and America are probably wrapped up into one. I'm sorry. Sometimes statistically they will do that. So there we go. But most people have heard a podcast, and people trust, and this Nancy and I were talking about this before we got online. People trust a podcaster. They've made the commitment to show up and listen to them. So then, hypothetically speaking, if that podcaster reads an ad out loud, that ad is going to resonate because the podcaster is a trusted source for their audience. So people see podcast hosts as influencers, right? They can move the dial if they want to. And once you sort of have your podcast finished, you have evergreen content. So you can take that podcast and make all sorts of different content out of it. And that for me was a great solution for my clients who are often busy CEOs. They're certainly not going to do a TikTok dance. Their content isn't interesting visually, right? So it's kind of one of those things where it really is about thought leadership. And what is the best place to capture thought leadership is in a long conversation with somebody. Does anyone have any questions so far?
Here, I know you have sent me a PowerPoint. Do you want that up on the screen at all, or are you just going to
Oh my
read from it?
gosh, is it not up?
It is not up. No.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Here, hold on.
Okay.
You poor guys, this
You
has been so boring for you.
No,
well,
you're looking very pretty.
exactly.
I like your earrings.
Oh my goodness. Why, thank you. How embarrassing. So here it is. I think, can you guys see it now?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, beautiful. Let me turn it into the slideshow. So we can sort of start from the top. Podcasts, right? Reach, credibility, reputation, why podcasts matter. We kind of covered off these statistics, but the statistics are really interesting. Like 500 million listeners to podcasts. Okay, so now I'll just dig into a little bit about myself. So I'm married. We have 4 kids. I live between Toronto and Miami. I'm actually in Toronto right now because we come back to visit the kids, and I also have clients here in Toronto. My kids are all in university now, except the oldest. He is 30 and he's working in construction, and he just recently had a baby. So,
Wow.
so yeah, so these are, it's an interesting change of tide for me because now we're going to be an empty nester. So Pat and I are going to be empty nesters, and I'm just planning to just spend a lot more time investing in my work. And I've always sort of done my social media and my digital media and my marketing part-time, and I'm going to flirt with doing it full-time now. So that's where I'm heading. But the past, I say 15 plus years, but it really probably has been more like 20, 25. But if I put 15 there, it makes me feel younger. So hold on, I'm just gonna go forward. How did we? There we go. Um, so does anyone have any questions about me? Or do they want to ask, anything about podcasts? No? Okay, well, we're gonna sort of move on.
Just, Kara, just carry on and we'll save our questions until the end.
Oh, until the end. Okay, perfect. All right. So podcasts are a lot different than, say, an IR interview, an interview that you might do on television. The questions are usually not like pre-constructed in any sort of way. You know that the podcaster has a certain theme, that a podcaster, follows, has a certain audience. So when you're speaking to them, usually they know the right questions to ask. They're going to ask intelligent questions. They're going to ask questions that are going to be way more interesting and engaging because you're speaking to their audience and they know what their audience wants to hear. You've already been chosen. So it's I feel that the conversations are more intelligent, they're more useful, and long form conversations always bring out a lot more of sort of the leadership and the credibility that the person on the podcast has. And I'm sure, Nancy, that you found that. Like, it must have been so delightful for you to be on these podcasts and these people were asking you questions that actually made sense to your industry, what you had built.
Right.
And
And what was interesting was they would often say, "What questions would you like us to ask you?" And
yes,
I would simply say, "Ask me whatever you want." I mean, you have seen who I am, you've
yes,
seen what I'm doing, so you know your audience. You ask me whatever you want to ask me. And if I
yes.
don't want to answer the question, then that's up to me.
Right, right. And that's the philosophy for most podcasters is some of them don't even want to have a 30-minute get to know you interview or
Mm.
like meeting. They want to just lead right into the podcast because that's when you're asking, that's where you're going to learn everything. And the conversations are more authentic when it is that sort of you're sitting down with a cup of coffee and you're just going to talk. Um, and so I'm thinking about, even for, Elizabeth and the sale of real estate, I know of about 4 podcasts that are out in Prince Edward County where they just are speaking to people who are doing business in Prince Edward County. What are they seeing? Who's doing what? That sort of thing. And one of my old clients, funny enough, is the Wander Resort.
Okay, there you go.
Yes, and
That's
I
the
know
one that's for sale.
exactly. So it's funny enough because I'm speaking now with the founders sort of about, next steps. What does it look like when they unravel for them personally? And
Yep,
what
Nora,
do you think
right.
I'm suggesting?
Nora and Chris. Libby and I are Rotarians, and Chris
Yeah.
is a Rotarian. He's also our vet.
Oh my gosh. Isn't that fun?
Sorry, I just wanted to say that. So you said the Wander, not the
Yes.
Waring House, right,
Yes,
Kara?
the Wander.
Yeah,
Yes.
Oh,
different resort.
oh,
Oh,
sorry.
okay. I was wondering. I thought, oh, maybe they just know a different side of
Good,
Yeah,
good for you, Rosa.
that's okay. They sound almost the same, so I can see how that would happen. It's
yeah,
okay.
right. Yes, yes. But I may have sort of given up something. Maybe the Wander might be in for sale too.
No, they're not for sale. They are not for sale. And
Okay.
by the way, the founder's spouse is my family doctor
You're kidding.
and who was in Toronto as well at Avenue Road in
Yes.
Lawrence.
It's so funny. Okay, so I was supposed to meet with the wife this afternoon because they're dropping their son off at camp, but sort of things unraveled. So what a small world.
I
But
know. Shannon is lovely. She is very special.
so Shanna's one of my first clients ever. So
Fabulous. No,
yes,
she's terrific.
so isn't that funny? Well, Canada is small when you
It
start.
is.
Sorry guys, I'm sort of playing around here. So my podcast matter. All right. So you guys know a little bit about me. We played the Canadian geography and figured out who we're all connected to and how we know them. I love Prince Edward County, by the way. My husband and I looked at a stone farmhouse 20 years ago, and we still kick ourselves for not buying it. Anyways,
Well,
yes.
come back again. We've got some new listings for you.
Oh, I love that.
Yes.
Ah, well, okay. So, how podcasts expand reach. And I'm going to use Nancy as another great example. So, when Nancy told me about all the things that she was working on, but also that she was in Prince Edward County, I thought, how can we get this woman's, her projects, her voice, how can we get her out of Prince Edward County without her having to travel? Right? Because traveling is not fun. I don't believe that we really need to be traveling that much anymore. You guys already live in a beautiful place, but I felt that Nancy needed to be able to be speaking to other women doing really cool things, maybe someone in Toronto, someone in New York, maybe even, someone in Hong Kong, which is possible with podcasts. Um, their audiences. So with regards to podcasts, the audiences are already very, very engaged. It's not a question of, well, they might show up or they might like it, or they know that they are going to have at least well, it depends on what podcast you're on, but there's going to be a dedicated listener base that's going to show up and they're going to be interested in what you're talking about. And then from there, you're hitting your target market, right? If you're choosing a podcast that you know that the audience or the podcaster talks about your audience, or the podcaster has the audience for what you're talking about, they're going to be interested, and you're going to reach 1,000 people that you wouldn't have otherwise reached. So you're using the podcast as a way to reach their audience. Sometimes people get it a little bit backwards and they think that being on a podcast is good because then they share it out into their own audience. While that's good, you want to be reaching new people. So the podcast is wonderful for creating content and, sort of talking about what you do. You can then share that out to your group. But the real gold in a podcast is that you're reaching the podcaster's highly loyal and attentive audience. So that is the number one reason why I love podcasts. So then the next thing that I love about it is one conversation can go out to every single, like all the different platforms. So it doesn't just live in Spotify. Podcasters usually publish across 5 or 6 different platforms. And right now in this age of AI, that's really good because AI right now is pulling information from everywhere and anywhere it can find it about you. So there's a sort of a new SEO, but it's dedicated to AI. So podcasts are great because they usually put them on YouTube, they put them on all the social media platforms, and then they put them on all of the podcast platforms. And that is gold for you for SEO. And often then you can sort of, again, like I said, turn it around and put it on your channels. And then it sort of shows that you have this credibility and authority for being on someone else's podcast. Earned media is very, very, very important. And then what we like to do is choose podcasts. Obviously, there's a million out there, but you want to choose podcasts when you pitch to that obviously the host has like a high level of credibility in your space. So that's just sort of a little nuance. You kind of want to align yourself with people that are as equal or maybe even more popular than you. So there we go. And you guys can still see my screen, right?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. All right, all right. So I think this sort of repeats itself, but I just want to sort of drive this home that, the podcast host elevates your authority because they're going to be asking you really interesting questions. You're going to be responding and having engagement with somebody that, and I always like to say is either as smart or possibly smarter than you. And then it's just rolls out and it's wonderful. And then it helps to build your reputation. I think this kind of makes sense when you see somebody is out there in a lot of earned media positions, we just intuitively trust them more. And that's, it's just one of those things that that happens with regards to being on a podcast. People just start to think, oh my goodness, if this host has chosen them to be on their podcast, they really must have something interesting to say, or there is some value. So when you're kind of looking at if you want to add podcasting into your marketing stack, I think it is a very smart, strategic move because we're out there, we're creating content for social media, we're creating content for our newsletters, we're creating content for our website, and you can kind of get a little bit into the content hamster wheel. I'm sure Crystal, you can speak to this. It gets expensive, it's time consuming, but if you can get on one podcast, and even if you get on one a month, that's going to give you an extraordinary amount of content to work with. So that's kind of one other reason why I really like them. And I'm going to wrap up a little bit because I don't want to give you guys like a total ear beating about podcasts. I think you guys sort of understand that if it's something that you can add into your sort of content stack, any sort of, even for like, I'm thinking about the people who are on the call. So Nancy, you and I have worked together, so I understand, how podcasts have worked for you. But I'm thinking about with Elizabeth, out in Prince Edward County, and especially, I bet you you're very deep roots in Prince Edward County. You could probably tell a lot of really great stories and really entertain people. So a podcast for your team or even yourself, getting on a few podcasts that are locally based or even Toronto, I think would be really interesting. And again, look at it not from an advertising point of view, but as a storyteller, and talking about your work and what you see, and but you can also do trends. Like I could see you, doing really well on a podcast that, talks about what, trends that you're seeing in real estate, things that you've seen happening historically, how Prince Edward County has sort of developed with regards to real estate. So lots there, I could see a lot of fun things for you guys that you could then, share.
Libby has sold some houses 2 and 3 times because she's been in the business for how many years, Libby?
About 25.
There you go.
Yeah. And that is what podcasts, that's what makes them so special, is you get to have these conversations. And, no, for me, knowing that she has sold houses 3 times, she's the person to talk to. She knows the ins and outs of every
She
single
sure
house
does. She sure does.
in Prince Edward County. And if she doesn't, she's going to find someone who knows it for you. So,
Right.
but that only came out because we've been talking now for almost half an hour,
Mhm.
you know? But it's special and it matters. And the trust for me has just like amplified. So my
Well,
my point was just proven. So anyways, I love podcasting, if you can't tell. It helped me help some of my clients who told complicated stories find a way to tell the story and take the time to tell it properly, entertaining. And it worked. I think it's worked out really well. I don't have any clients that have gone on podcasts and when that did not work out for me. Um, even the ones that are clunky and goofy, they've had a lot of fun doing, and there was always something at the end that was of value. Um, and the other piece that I like to do with hosts is at the end of it, after you've had this conversation, is ask them, is there anyone else that I should talk to, or is there anyone in your network or neighborhood, or is there an audience member that, would like to hear more? And then, they can kind of become a networker for you, a dot connector, because they are going to understand your business and what you do a lot better after that full hour. So I'm not going to keep talking. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you for, again, this space. The Pearls of Wisdom, I think, is just extraordinary. And I've had a lot of fun being on here. And Elizabeth, I hope you get on a podcast because it sounds to me like
Good.
you have some good stories.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
We're going to try.
Kara,
Yes.
if you could just turn off your share and then we can
Yes.
have a conversation. And I love seeing everybody then.
Yes.
Kara, tell us
Sure.
about Pod Pitch because that was
Oh,
who
yeah.
you introduced me to.
Oh,
And
right.
that
Okay.
was a very, very simple process. They basically said, well, give me your stuff. Who are you? Which I
Yes.
did. And then the rest is history. I would just get invitations, calendar invitations, and away
Away
we
you
go.
go. So Podpitch is an extraordinary platform, and this is my gift to you guys because it changed the game for Nancy, and it's a really wonderful platform that I use to find podcasts for my clients. So it's called Podpitch, and it is a platform that takes almost like to get started. It gathers up everything there is about you on the internet, but you can also provide it with you can provide up to 30 pages of a bio. So if you have a long bio, do not be afraid to feed it everything. Anything and everything you sort of put into the platform, into this section about the bio, because it is AI driven in a sense. So you can turn it on. So once it sort of realizes, who you are, what you do, how you do it, then what it does is it sort of asks you, what are your goals? What do you want to get out of this? What are you hoping to do? And you can run 3 or 4 campaigns at a time. So you could run one campaign that's specifically for, real estate in the GTA and, Prince Edward County area. You could run one for, history, Canadian history. Like I'm thinking again, I'm just going to talk, sort of about Elizabeth. You can do one for Canadian history. You have lots of great stories to tell about the houses in Prince Edward County. So anyways, then you put in your email and then you just set it to run. And so within Podpitch, they have a database of thousands of podcasts. And you can target podcasts, but depending on how many listeners they have. So for us up here in Canada, the podcasters don't have a huge listener base. For the most part, it's around 1,000 to 5,000 people. So just there's going to be a toggle where you set how many listeners you want your podcast to have. Keep it at 1,000 and then just go up from there. Anything less than 1,000, I think, I mean, they're good, but it could be low production quality, could be a little clunky, and it just might be someone that's starting out, which is fine. I'm totally okay with that. But if you don't want to waste your time, set it to 1,000. And then the machine will start to run. You put it on something that's called Smart Search, and it will start matching you with podcasts. It writes the pitch based on the campaign that you're running. And you can tweak it, and they have people that sort of help you out. So if you have a question, you can ask them. And then it will start pitching you to the podcast campaigns, and the podcaster will reach out to you, and the podcaster itself will say, "Hi, I loved your pitch. I'd really like you to have you on the podcast." And then you guys just sort of set up when you're going to have the podcast. And it's as simple as showing up. I mean, Nancy, this is a podcast. Essentially, Nancy's running a podcast. And so you click the Zoom link, or you click the whatever link they send you, you click it, you show up, and you roll out and you have a great conversation with the person. And
It's amazing. My first question when I would click on
yes.
is, where are you located?
Oh yeah.
Because I didn't listen to their podcasts before I engaged with them. I mean,
Oh,
listen to them
okay.
afterwards. So
Yeah.
and this one experience was really incredible because each one, it's like there's a person who's just arrived,
Yeah.
and of course, where you're located, and then blah, blah, blah. I still remember this one. I was actually sitting outside because it was a beautiful day, and it was a fellow in Texas, and he came on with one of those T-shirts, they call them wife beater shirts. I mean, that I shouldn't say that.
Yeah, yeah,
But I
yeah.
thought, oh my goodness, this is going to be interesting.
Yes.
But proceed, like it's harmless. It's absolutely harmless. And you can end the conversation whenever you want. And if you
Yeah.
can't end it, you can just sign off. Anyway, this fellow was amazing. He asked me incredible questions, like sort of
Right.
in-depth questions,
Yeah.
and you would respond, and then he'd ask me another one. So he was really listening and understanding and really gathering all this information. It turned out to be just a pleasure. It was just so much fun.
Well, this is the thing I remind my clients about podcasting. For the most part, people are listening. People are listening with their ears to podcasts. They're not watching them. I never watch a podcast. I listen to it while I'm doing my work, et cetera, et cetera. So what I like about podcasts is it's reduced the friction of what do people look like. You simply are you just get to have a conversation with someone. You don't know what they look like. They don't know what you look like. So it really is just about the work or
Right.
the conversation. So I love that story, Nancy, because you're right. I mean, if you kind of your first glance, you're like, oh, I don't know if he's going to be a good fit, but then it turns out to be extraordinary. So keep that in mind, ladies, when you do get on a podcast. Sure, we see each other, but most people listen to them. It is like imagine you're on a radio show. People,
Kara, I'm going to introduce you to, I think her name is Sarah,
yes.
and she's the executive director of an organization in the county called Visit the County.
Oh, fun.
And
Okay.
and what ends up happening is people come to the county to do something, and then when they're here, they find out there were three other things going on that they didn't know about, and now they're sorry because they're kind of out of time, or there are no tickets left or whatever. So
Right.
one of the things that we're struggling with is finding a way to get current information to people that they can access, obviously before they come, but even while they're here. So Visit the County. We also have this incredible, he was a journalist with CBC and traveled afar. He's
Yeah.
from the county to begin with and has come back and has a business called History Lives Here. So
Oh,
he's
cool.
created all these different little vignettes of different aspects of the county. I did a Women Worth and Wellness event at one point, and one of his that I chose was the person who was married to Mr. F.W. Woolworth was from the county. So we
Oh,
told her story. So again, a lot of content that perhaps would be a great a vehicle in a podcast.
absolutely. Even if they hosted their own. Anyway,
Yeah,
I'm thinking out loud here, but
that's
wonderful.
good.
I love introductions. Does anyone have any other questions about podcasting or pod pitch? No.
Unfortunately, I have to leave. I have to drive a friend to the Trenton Hospital for a test. But Rose is staying on. I've taken notes and we'll listen to the whole thing in the end. Such a pleasure to meet you, Kara, and look forward to talking again. Thank
Yeah,
you
the
so much.
pleasure is mine. Thank you.
I'm
Thank you for
sorry to have to
coming.
leave, but Rose is
And
here.
th- and
Thank
that's
you very much
and
for the
that
pod
and
pitch.
Kara, that stone house, it could be coming up for sale again.
I know, I know. Oh, I feel like that ship has
Well,
sailed.
listen, whenever you're free, another time, plan to come and visit us in the county.
I absolutely will because
You
I have to visit Shannon, and
okay,
Noah, and I have to visit you, and now I have to come say hi to Bonnie,
Libby, right?
Libby,
Definitely.
and Crystal. I know you're in Edmonton, so funny enough, I was just in Alberta
Oh,
last week to visit my family because they're in Clare's home.
okay. Yeah, I know
Yeah,
that.
yeah, and good luck with all of your work. This sounds fascinating.
Thank you.
Well, she
Yeah.
may be in touch to with you as well, because a lot of what you're suggesting are good things for what she's up to.
Oh yeah, Crystal. Honestly, I run Pod Pitch actually for a lot of my clients because it's kind of, Nancy is very sophisticated. Like she knows what's what, okay? Which is awesome. But a lot of people get into Pod Pitch and get overwhelmed, so I run it for them. So think about that as an option or an add-on because it's easy to run, but sometimes it's overwhelming for people and they don't have the time. So I run it for them.
That's
Uh,
fantastic.
yeah, it's pretty extraordinary.
That's a great option to offer people because people are very busy. And
Yes, yeah, and Nancy will know, like, when you're kind of having to do bookings and figure out time zones and all that sort of stuff, it can get a little complicated. So
yeah,
I just manage it for them.
No, it was
great.
very, very, very simple because once the appointment was booked, then of course they want your picture and your, info. And
Mhm.
so I would just send the contact to Crystal. She'd send it to them.
Oh,
And
interesting.
And then
Yeah.
by the time we start to engage in a conversation, they've got all that info. Then we have the interview, and then they say, okay, this will be posted in the next month or whenever.
Yeah.
So then when it comes back, I give it to Crystal, and then she posts it on all our social media. So once you get a formula, it's very simple.
Right. If you are going to do podcasts, I recommend having like the one sheet and that has your all your information, your socials, your emails, how to get a hold of you, your website, any past podcasting appearances that you can give the host just to give you a flavor of who you are, what your topics are, your speaking topics. Have that all prepared and we send that over and with the bio, I should remember forget that and Nancy has a chapter in a book so that all of that information gets sent over, and then they say, wow, okay, we have to have this guest on our podcast. And that is just how easy it can be.
Well, if Rosa and Libby, if you guys decide to go with Pod Pitch, use Nancy as your reference because she will get something extraordinary, like $10 off.
Well, thank you very much. No, I have listened to podcasts for a number of years now, and when
Yeah.
I'm driving back and forth to Toronto and then the county, I'm either listening to podcasts or Audible books. And it's like you say, most people do listen. I go watch them sometimes too, though, because I find that even more
But have
intriguing.
you thought of doing one, Rosa?
I hadn't until today. I
Okay.
mean, yeah. So there you go, something to think about. And thank you, Kara, for
Absolutely. Yeah,
sharing.
it's been a pleasure. So,
I
I
have
guess,
another question.
good.
So we
Okay.
always ask our speakers, and I don't think you covered this, but what are your three pearls of wisdom
Right.
that you would say to our listeners here today? Things you've learned, whether it's about podcast directly or personally in your life. Like, what are three like golden nuggets you live by or recommend?
Yes, I knew this was coming. So I'm going to keep it on brand. I do like podcasting as sort of the number one pillar in a marketing stack, I think is very, very important. And from there, we'll roll out all sorts of extraordinary connections, more content. And again, it slowly will start to sort of build reputation and credibility. I like it, and I will stand on that pillar and say I think it is very important. The second one is, I definitely believe in communities and audiences, and building trust. So, Nancy was somebody that was, loosely in a community that I was in. But I knew that, her and I could be aligned and have a conversation because, we'd already sort of identified that we wanted to be in that community. So right away, I'm like, okay, here's somebody that, I can sit down and have a conversation with. So, I believe in communities. I believe, in audiences for podcasts because they have chosen to go and listen to that podcast. They're not there for any other reason. So I think that is a value. So those are the two things. And then the other thing too is, and this probably doesn't have much to do with podcasting, but I do believe it's important to nurture and network. When you come across somebody, it's important to, pick up the phone, give them a call, send the email, send them an article. That's what I did with Nancy. We met once and then we just sort of started emailing back and
Right.
forth, having these lovely, lovely conversations. And had I not taken that sort of first step to be like, hey, would you like to have a conversation about this? I wouldn't be here. Right. So I think it's just the power of community, power of networking, and then
And
putting yourself out there.
right. And the other thing that I love to do, which I think is really, really important, is once you know the person and you know what they do and you know they offer value,
Mm.
going back to the Amplify world, is just repost whatever they're posting, repost it. And
You're
then
good
that
at
goes to
that.
your audience. Now we have Anita on here, and Anita is a real estate agent in Thornbury, Collingwood. So
Okay.
Anita, you've got another whole community. What do you think about podcasting?
She
Maybe
is.
she's gone for coffee.
She
Okay.
is.
She might be on a call too.
She
That
might,
happens.
yeah.
That happens.
Crystal, more questions. Oh, here she
Yeah,
is. Oh, she
she
doesn't
doesn't
have a mic.
she doesn't have a
Oh,
mic. But she's listening, see? We're always
Okay.
listening.
you
Um,
can you can text your question.
right.
Yeah.
So Kara just lends to, I think, what the new marketing is in this world is all about networking. More than just pushing products, it's about networking and relationship networking, connecting with people. Seems to get more business than anything else. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah. I'm
Yeah.
a big fan of like bilateral communication as well. Even though I work in the digital space and it's often, I think I've spoken about this, there's a hamster wheel of just pushing content out. You absolutely need to be having conversations in some capacity. Social media works best, all digital media works best when there's two-way communication, right? You're putting something out there, people are coming back and asking questions. Um, and more often than not, I think I see people just pushing content out on social media and there's very little engagement. And then they start questioning why am I doing this? Like I'm just spending money to sort of shoot money or, shoot it out into the internet. And I don't know what's there. So I do believe that bilateral communication, two people talking back and forth, is an extraordinary way um, to leverage digital and social media.
Yeah. So,
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's
yeah.
Anita.
So
Yes.
Anita has said, always listening. You have me thinking of how podcasts would work for my business. Oh, message disappeared just a moment. As a realtor in a fairly crowded market of realtors, yeah, that is a
Mhm.
saturated market. Perhaps it would provide value to my clients and add new clients. Um, I-
Absolutely. And you can sort of you can look at it two ways. You can be sort of hyper focused and just look at, selling houses in your own neighborhood. I don't know what your target market is, but you could also look at, going on a national or international kind of podcast to talk about, again, you can talk about real estate, but how do you bring people into the community that you want to sell houses in? Because you could have somebody who's listening that might be in another country that's been thinking about moving. So I think you could run two campaigns. One that's sort of an international or national base, listener base, and one that is sort of hyper focused. And they exist. Like you would not believe it. I have so many, this is fun. I have clients that are like, there's no podcast that is talking about, I don't know, like crime scene cleanup. I'm like, oh yes, there is. And guess how many I think there's probably over 1,000, not a word of a lie, 1,000 podcasts dedicated to crime scene cleanup and just the whole world that exists. I know it was a strange one, and this actually did happen. There was a crime scene cleanup guy that I got introduced to, and he couldn't believe it. It's like I had no idea that there were so many people out there that were talking about, the chemistry and all the different parts of that world. I have a daughter
Um,
that's going into forensics, by the way, so
oh, wonderful.
this is sort of, these things happen to kind of come up in conversation at our house.
Good for her. Good for her.
I know she's
That'll
gonna be
be very
friends
exciting. Very exciting.
too. Oh, were there any more questions?
That is interesting. Yeah, people always. Well, okay, here's another question that I have for you.
Okay.
And I ask every speaker this, but I'm going to ask you a little bit early because I think it ties in. Is that what is something we can do right now as a listener, like within the next 24 hours to get more into the podcast? Where, say, somebody hasn't listened to podcasts, just like this example right here. Where do they go? How do you start listening? Does it cost money? Like, how do you get into this
Okay.
world of podcasts?
Right. Okay, so most podcasts are hosted on platforms, and the platforms are Spotify, Apple. Apple has podcasts. So I think those two are sort of the big ones, but there's also a lot of podcast apps that you can download that are sort of just dedicated to podcasts. But if somebody was like, I've never listened to a podcast before, I would simply think what are you actually interested in? Like what do you read or what kind of news do you follow or that sort of thing. Figure out what it is that you'd like to listen to. And I would go to Google and I would just simply type in, top 5 podcasts dedicated to, ceramics or pottery, if maybe that's what you're interested in, and then listen to those podcasts. And it's as simple as Google top 5 podcasts come up, see the hyperlink, click on the hyperlink, and whatever you have connected on your phone, whether it's Spotify, whether it's Apple, and or a lot of these are hosted on YouTube. So it'll show up, the link will host on YouTube. So the wonderful thing about podcasts is they're hosted on so many different platforms that it would almost be impossible for you not to just find the hyperlink, Googling it, Googling what you want to listen to. Now, flip it on its head, and you want to be on podcasts. So there's two things. You can either use something like Podpitch, which makes it super simple. It's rather expensive. So unless you're doing it for business, there is a barrier to entry because it does cost around $250 US. So it's a business expense on there. But if you want to get on podcasts and you just don't have that $250, you research the podcast that you're interested in, find out who the host is, find out where their website is or their social media, and you or natively, and natively meaning you don't use any other platforms, you just simply send them an email. So you reach out to them based on what kind of, if it's an email that they have on their website, maybe they only have like an Instagram for the podcast. And so you just have to do that heavy lifting yourself and reach out to them and pitch. And they'll get back to you
Okay,
if they're interested.
Kara, for any of our listeners, can they reach out to you and you answer their questions, help them understand how it would work for them and what the cost would be, what the process would be? Because both Rosa and Anita are potentially interested as real estate people, but
Yes.
others on our replay might definitely be interested.
Absolutely. So reach out to me. My website for all of this is the Tormont 50, and my email is kara@tormontgroup.com. But I'm also on LinkedIn. So, please reach out to me there. It's Kara Wood. But there's a few Kara Wood, so just say Kara Wood Tormont, Kara Wood Tormont Group, and then you should be able to find me. And I'd be more than happy to answer any questions or help you out because anyone connected to Nancy is a good friend of mine.
Wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes. Oh, let's see. Did it come up properly? Oh, it did. Wonderful. Thank you for putting my website in there. That is so
Yep.
awesome.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. That is how I love to serve. Well,
Yes.
this has been an amazing conversation. So, it's a great way to finish off June. And Nancy, you want to tell us what we're up to now for the summer and onwards?
Okay, well, later on, let's just do a separate video that we can push out because not everybody's going to listen to all of this. But for the first 6 months of 2026, we wanted to amplify the Women Worth and Wellness brand. And how we did it was with this Pearls of Wisdom speaker series. And we have had truly incredible speakers who have come on. And what's really interesting is I doubt that there was an overlap in terms of Pearls of Wisdom. You would think that there would be. Like work hard, smile often, do your best, be your best, whatever. But everybody has different pearls of wisdom. One that I think about a lot is Sarah from Manulife. Her number one was ride the wave. And I've often thought about that. Like when things are really working, ride the wave, keep going. And so Pearls of Wisdom has turned out to be a really, really good suggestion. Thank you. Thank you, Crystal. It was her idea. We've certainly had a lot of fun with it. And we've all learned so many different things. So we're going to take the summer off and we're going to regroup. We've got a speaker lineup for the fall. And I mentioned that Crescendo is now going to be virtual. It's just too difficult and too expensive to have it in person. But don't despair because I'm thinking about an in person in 2027. So stay tuned. Stay tuned.